Chapter 1 T'Challa was the king of the dead, and in hindsight he should have never shared his knowledge of the zombie-verse with S.H.I.E.L.D. because the information was leaked to an obscure British health corporation that was controlled by cannibal who wanted an unlimited supply of the living dead to feed on. T'Challa arrived in London and was accompanied by Mute and Captain Steve Rogers. The Black Panther's invisible orb ship landed in the River Thames, and it was fired upon by an electromagnetic pulse that emanated from the temple of Isis that was on the river bed. The ship was not affected by the shot. "We must destroy that portal no matter the cost," said T'Challa. "Mute, what does your telepathy pick up from the target site?" "It's very fuzzy, they might be psi-insulated," replied Mute. T'Challa and Captain America had stormed hidden enemy installations on countless occasions, so they both had an understanding of the task. The ship's computer scanned the beetle-like shaped temple for a suitable entry point for teleportation. After one was identified, the team were sent and they appeared inside of a passageway. The temple was made from metal, but the interior was fabricated to resemble a stone masonry finish. Instantly T'Challa sensed an odd chemical in the air. "Fall back to the ship," he shouted as he commanded the computer to retake Mute and Captain America. The chemical agent in the air intensified and became visible. It looked like thick snow as it blew through the passageway. His ceremonial combat uniform protected him from the strange poison. T'Challa heard the sound of a large machine being turned on, and he felt fluctuations in time and space. "It's the portal," he muttered. He sprinted through the maze of passageways until he reached the source of the sound. He programmed his optic visors to send a live feed to the ship's display computer for Captain America and Mute to view. The snow-like substance covered everything in the laboratory that T'Challa came upon. A man with a machete and wearing a jacket that had a large fur mane stood next to the circular portal. "Novichok nerve gas is a wonderful tool because it renders the enemy completely immobilized, but as in most things it is overrated when it comes to meta-humans," said Cannibal, and he shut down the portal. "Luckily I took the antidote." The fact that he shut off the portal told T'Challa that it was a ruse to get him here. "Tifen, Mestat, Mesti Tef, Pedit," said Cannibal. T'Challa sensed another fluctuation in space and time. 4 humanoid scorpions appeared around him and they attacked him. T'Challa scissors kicked the attackers who came from the front and the rear. But the scorpion men on the flanks were able to land hits on him with their claws. The claws went through the uniform and tore at T'Challa's soul. He gasped in pain. The attacker from the front fixed his broken jaw and joined the fray by whipping his tail at the Black Panther. T'Challa leapt to the ceiling to get away from the attackers. He used his claws and special grips in his boots to anchor him to the ceiling. Then he tried to teleport, but the system did not work. The scorpion men followed him onto the ceiling and resumed the battle. T'Challa head-butted, clawed and stabbed the assailants, but eventually they were able to inject a significant amount of supernatural poison into his soul. Meanwhile, a sarcophagus was dragged by Cannibal into the center of the lab. He opened the coffin and stepped inside of it. The scorpion men took a sedated T'Challa and followed their leader into the disguised wormhole. The gateway took them to the Redlet suburb on the outskirts of London. Inside the basement of Cannibal's house, T'Challa's uniform was cut open with the adamantium-bladed machete. Then the scorpion men went to the 4 corners of the basement and turned themselves into stone. Cannibal placed biosigns observation pads on T'Challa's temples, and afterwards he released one of his caged zombies. Cannibal went to the 2nd level of the basement where he would observe the experiment. The zombie went immediately to eat T'Challa and the Black Panther woke up. Instinctively he told the zombie to halt and the creature complied. Chapter 2 A data spike from both T'Challa and the zombie was captured by the computers in the observation deck and forwarded to a remote server. Cannibal believed that he was closer to his goal of being able to command the horde of the living dead in the alternate reality of the zombie verse. He could only image the source of T'Challa's strange gift, and he thought that it might be deep in the heart of Wakanda. Cannibal disconnected the link to the remote server and deleted the hard drives of the computers in the observation deck. He went into an elevator that took him to the top floor. Suddenly, midway up, there was thud on the floor of the elevator. Then vibranium claws came up from beneath the floor. "Impossible, he cannot be that fast," muttered Cannibal, and readied his machete to land a strike on T'Challa's hands. There were no other actions by T'Challa, so Cannibal deduced that the Black Panther had not fully recovered and had only reached as far as he did on sheer will, which had worn him out. Cannibal stopped the elevator and opened the above hatch. He then climbed the cables to reach the elevator shaft door. He heard the tearing of metal from the elevator, and he glanced down to see the sweaty face of T'Challa through the hatch. Cannibal quickly opened the elevator door and cut the cables with the machete in one swing. He didn't get a chance to look down but heard the free fall of the elevator back to the basement. Cannibal scampered to his garage and rode out of it on his motorcycle. Chapter 3. T'Challa jumped out of the elevator and held onto the walls of the elevator shaft. He climbed to the door, and after he opened it he lost consciousness. But he had a dream of when he became king of dead. Residents of a community in Wakanda had complained about zombies in the area, and upon T'Challa's research he discovered a hidden underground city. The city was built in the 18th century by deserters of Wakanda's standing army. They told the then Black Panther not to call upon them to serve in any war with foreign invaders, as they were not under his authority anymore. The deserters called their domain the Mute Zone to symbolize their unwillingness to speak to the Black Panther any further. The deserters practiced a science that prolonged their lifespan for a few extra years, but it did not provide immortality. Eventually their bodies died but were slow to decay, and the souls were locked out of the afterlife. T'Challa revealed to them that the Black Panther who they betrayed had cursed them to dwell in the city even in death. But the deserters wanted their souls to rest, so T'Challa told them to return their domain to the authority of the Black Panthers and that he would unlock the gateway to the afterlife for them. T'Challa heard the voices of Captain America and Mute in his dream. Then someone touched him. Immediately he woke up and lifted up the two men by their throats. "T'Challa," said Captain America. The Black Panther put them down as he regained his senses. "What happened?" asked Mute. "It was a trap to analyze my ability to control zombies," replied T'Challa. "So they are not going to the zombieverse?" asked Mute. "Yes, they will go to the zombieverse, but they think that the zombies are control lab now, which they are not. The reason the zombieverse dangerous is that it is ruled by cosmic zombified Avengers. These Avengers cannot be controlled, and they are actively looking for a portal to our world," replied T'Challa. "The ship's computer tracked your translocation to this place." "We are in a suburb," said Captain America. "It's not a suburb. There are corpses underneath the neighboring houses. I can sense them, and the zombie in the basement of this house was a co-conspirator with the leader of this group who goes by the name Cannibal. The zombie told me about all his plans," said T'Challa. "Which are?" asked Mute. "Cannibalism for medicinal purposes. During the recent global invasions, health institutions ran out of medicines, so they reverted to a system that was practiced in Britain centuries ago, where cures could be processed from feeding on human beings. Cannibal's company formed a public-private partnership with the government, and this community was used as a case study," replied T'Challa. "We have to get to Sonny Bean Castle in Scotland now. The Romans brought Isis worship to Britain when it was a colony, and temples were built all over the Isles in honor of her resurrection powers. The castle is really a temple, and it has another portal machine," replied T'Challa.